Do not turn around. Do not peek, even when you think you are done. Still, just wait, because there's a second portion to this activity, okay?
Okay.
All right, remember, you can't talk. Describers, go for it.
Okay. Are we allowed to give directions like left and right? Okay. On my left, there's a really tall rectangle.
Okay.
Like the Twin Towers. Okay. Okay, now the bottom half of that rectangle, draw a circle, but only like less than half of the circle overlaps the rectangle. Like less than half, about like a quarter size of the circle overlaps the rectangle.
And draw it upside down so that the point is on the bottom.
Okay, now next to that circle, there is another rectangle.
Second triangle.
It's horizontal and
There's a
like
rectangle.
a little bit like fatter than the average. Like not as, I don't know, kind of like a square but bigger. You know what I mean? Like a wider, like a bigger, and it touches the circle, but it doesn't overlap it.
In the rectangle, it's intertwining with the first thing rectangle you drew.
Okay, now here's the hard part. Okay, now the top of the Twin Tower. We'll call that one the Twin Tower. The top of the tall rectangle. You're going to draw a. Let me finish describing all of it before you start. You're going to draw a isosceles triangle, you know, like a pyramid, 3 sides, you know. Now I'm letting you know where. Hang on. You're going to draw a triangle, equilateral triangle. Now it's kind of sideways. So picture a sideways pyramid. And the peak of the pyramid touches the top of the Twin Tower. Doesn't overlap it, it just touches the top. Now, okay, so now you have your pyramid that's sideways. Okay, on the other side of that, you're gonna draw another. Why is it suddenly quiet in here? Like it's.
Because everyone else finished and we're listening
Okay.
to you.
Oh, great. You're gonna draw one more triangle. Upside down.
Oh, there's your point.
Right.
So
Fill
that
it
2
down, she already
points.
looked at it.
So that 2 of the points, one touches the other triangle, and one touches the fat rectangle. And that's it. You should have 5 shapes.
Okay, now artists, please write a number 1 on your paper and then flip it over. Can I look?
It's gone.
Oh, you can look all you want now. Okay, now,
Which side?
we need to switch our positions for the second half, and this gets a little confusing, so please just bear with me. So first, I would like all the artists to move around to the other side of the table. Take a chair with you if you need to, but face your original partner. So around the other side of the table, but still facing your partner. So describers, just turn around for a minute.
Okay.
Just swing your chairs around and face the other direction.
So we go on this side, they come on this side.
Yeah, you gotta go around the table. Artists need to go around the table.
Without the paper?
Yeah, you're gonna wipe the same spot, so it's really matter.
No, not really.
I know when she said that, her face was like. Are we allowed to peek at what they drew?
Not yet.
No.
Okay, now there's one more step, folks. There's one more step. Don't get too comfortable. You should be facing your original partner now, right? Okay, now I need you to switch seats. So that the artist is facing the back of the room over the desk, and your partner is facing the front of the room looking at you over the desk.
So we just switch seats?
Yeah.
Switch seats with your partner.
But you guys are supposed to be facing the back. This in itself.
So the artist should be facing the back of the room when we're done. Nice.
I don't know, I'm just gonna sit here.
Oh, so it's her?
There's a lot of chairs in this row, so.
Remember they moved these things in
That chair
here.
goes there. Okay, so let me confirm. All artists are now facing the back of the room and looking at your partners across the table, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, this makes sense now.
All right, good. So now you two can just grab a seat wherever and just watch what's going on because it's too late to participate. All right, so the same rules apply to the artists. You cannot turn around. You cannot ask questions or use your voices in any way.
Wait, are the artists the same artists as last time?
Now, describers, you've got one additional rule. You cannot reach over and draw on the table or on their paper with your finger or with a writing implement. Other than that, you can do whatever you want, but no drawing with your finger, okay?
We don't look with our heads like if there's like a
Are we still allowed to talk?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, are you ready for round two?
Wait, can we point? We can point, like to the paper?
You can point. We just can't draw. All right?
Wait, can we tell them like yes, no?
All right, here we go. Round two.
They draw it as I see it, right? Okay.
Oh yeah, really drawing is upside down.
Sorry.
You're thinking too much into it.
draw. No, the other way. Not go up. No. Halfway. Try. The first triangle is supposed to be halfway. Okay, you see on the top, your halfway line, the other. Yes, yeah, it's all, there you go. Okay, now make a triangle like that. Yeah, no. Make a triangle like on the line. Yes. Now, draw a triangle that's going down as the first round. No, rectangle. You know what a rectangle? No. Yes. On the triangle, facing down. Yes. No. Draw the second line. There you go. The first one you were right. No.
Yeah,
Too big. We see the triangle as facing to the left. At the left. Yes. Now, you see the point of it? Draw a rectangle. Yes. Now at the bottom of the rectangle, draw a circle. No. Oh my god, I should have erased that.
So right here, starting.
Left. Yes. Now draw circles. But make sure it's like kind of in the middle.
When you have finished,
You see the first one?
you may take a look at the screen
Finish the circle.
and decide whether your first drawing or your second drawing is closer. literally. I know, are you trying? Do you see this? Do you see this? I didn't see that. I didn't know it was gonna be a triangle.
That was probably when I was like starting to giggle and that was
Sort of. Okay.
The duck. Wait. Well, the first one?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Your facial expression. Absolutely.
I might have. I might have.
There now.
Because that was when I was like, why is it so quiet in here? I was the only one talking, so.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be like little tiny space.
Alright, you did better.
Let me see the other side.
Well,
So let me ask y'all a question. Which drawing was better, 1 or 2? 2. Almost always the answer is 2. That's how much difference your nonverbal communication makes. Just as simple as understanding when the other person is confused happens because of your nonverbal communication. So you can go ahead and return to your regular seats. Feel free to take those drawings home and put them on your refrigerator. I know you're very proud.
High five. Good job.
Oh, your book bag's heavy. What you got in there, box?
Y'all, my last class is all total giggles because the one person was describing really, really badly. I've never heard anything like it in all my years doing this thing. It was spectacular.
Rayona was pretty close on the one on side 1 too, but she thought I said rectangle for the second triangle, so she drew 2 rectangles instead.
Alright, a couple of things I want to point out. First of all, it's very common during the first portion of the exercise when you are facing away from your partner, a lot of the describers were using hand gestures and even facial expression to communicate their points. Do any of you use hand gestures while you're on the phone with somebody?
Yes.
Do any of you ever find it difficult to talk if you can't move your
Yeah.
hands?
I'm Italian. We can't.
Yeah. So nonverbal communication is such an integral part of our communication that we need to do it. And the second thing is I wanted to define nonverbal communication. That is simply communicating without words. Anything without words is nonverbal. So we're going to start off by talking about the functions of nonverbal communication, what we use it for. There's actually 5 different things we use it for. That y'all get caught up. I don't like that. Okay, the first function of nonverbal communication is to complement verbal communication.
Okay.
And what that means is that we use the nonverbal to complete the verbal message. So it's actually part of the message. So if we say the fish was this big, we're showing how big with our hands, we're completing the message with our hands. If we say, we're giving directions, we just say, well now you want to go down that way, go around there. we're using the gestures to complete the message. So you wouldn't actually be able to understand the message if I only gave you the word portion. That's complementation. Next, we use nonverbal communication to regulate the flow of a conversation or our usage of time. So when you start gathering up your books towards the end of class, you're signaling to the professor, time to move on. By the way, professors really don't like that. Just saying. We also use regulating behaviors when we're turn taking. So if you're negotiating who's going to speak next, you may make eye contact or nod or lean back and cross your arms. All of these things are signaling to the other person whether it's okay to talk or not talk. That's a regulating behavior. It's also regulating when you put up your hand in class to speak. Third, we use nonverbal communication to substitute for spoken language. We use gestures that translate directly into words in the English language. We've got a number of these. I just like to take advantage of the opportunity to flip off my glass. Keep in mind that this is highly cultural. So what might be an innocent gesture in America, when I order 2 beers, I may just go like this, but I really don't want to do this in France. Because that's the same thing as this in France.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do it. Fourth, we use nonverbal communication to place emphasis on or accentuate or even to just repeat our verbal message. So if I say stop and I hold out my hand is repeating what my lips are saying, stop. And the tone of my voice, the volume of my voice is accentuating, stop. In the name of... There's video of me somewhere doing that, by the way. That's all. Next is negates. Because nonverbal communication is usually unconscious, it will tell the truth, even when our words are telling a lie. So we can sometimes actually negate our own words. So if you say to your friend, yeah, I'd love to come to your party, your body is telling what you really think while your lips lie. So yeah, look for body language. Liars often give themselves away through body language.
Yeah, my son.
Yeah.
He stutters and doesn't make eye contact, then I know he's caught.
Fun fact, men often will get an itchy nose when they lie. They might scratch or rub their nose.
He does that.
Uh-huh.
That's so weird.
The explanation why is weird too. They have erectile tissue in their noses. That makes them itch. Okay. I know, it's crazy. All right, channels of nonverbal communication. So these are the different ways we communicate nonverbally. A lot of this stuff is stuff you already know, but we're now slapping fancy language on it. So learn the terms. The first is kinesics. Kinesics refers to body movement. Body movement. So this is things like your facial expression, what we communicate with our eyes, our posture, and of course our gestures. And again, I want to underscore the gestures vary a great deal by culture. Very strong cultural component there. In fact, culture can even affect the interpretation of your posture. If you spend a lot of time in Great Britain, try not to slouch. They see that as rude. It's great for those of us with scoliosis. Eye contact. We can communicate all kinds of things with our eyes, can't we? We can flirt with our eyes. We can certainly display anger with our eyes. I'm sure most of you have somebody in your life who can give you the look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's usually the mom, but sometimes the dad gives you that look that says you better stop now.
I was just writing down the words.
I forget what word it is.
When I go to leave, my dog.
Strong culture is not.
I have a cat who, whenever we eat turkey, he'll come and he'll sit on the coffee table right in front of you and go,
You're not. That means you're not.
Next is proxemics. Proxemics is space and distance. Using space and distance to communicate. So for example, how we set up a space says something, and we usually set up our spaces to reflect a function. Your bedroom is probably set up to allow you to sleep, and maybe it may also be set up to allow you to play, depends on where you live. Dorm rooms kind of got to be set up to do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
My bedroom is basically a cave. I don't want any sunlight in that place. My sanctum. This classroom is set up to communicate its function. In what ways is this classroom set up to give me power? I got the whole front of the room, right? I got all this desk space. I got all this stuff here. I got all the equipment. I got all the display area. I'm facing the front of the, you're all facing the front of the room here, right? So there are a lot of things designed to focus your attention here and to give me the power. I had a boss back in the day when I worked in market research. And my boss was a master at using space. He was vice president of sales. And he had, first of all, he had the biggest office in the building. And it was about a third of this room to a half of this room. Like, it was really big and it was long. So this whole thing would be his office. And you'd walk in through the door here, and you'd be looking down this long room. This whole wall and the whole back wall was all plate glass windows, looking out on Boston, trees, leafiness. And you'd walk down, and there'd be all these bookshelves here with all of his awards and copies of the magazine and all that stuff there. And you get down to the end where he had this huge wraparound cherry desk that took up most of the end of the room. And in the center, he had this huge executive black leather armchairs. One of those armchairs that cost like $1,000.
Yeah.
So you'd come in, you'd walk down past all those awards, you'd walk down to this massive desk, and you'd sit down in the guest chair, which for some reason was really, really tiny. Look up at him over this massive desk in this big, massive chair, and you'd feel about this big. Nobody ever argued with Joe in his office. We all caught him in the break room to do it. Yeah, he was a smart guy. He knew how to use his space. Next is distance. This is also something that we use to communicate. So intimate distance, you can actually use this in the office to find out who's sleeping with who. Yeah, if they're really close, they're probably sleeping together or about to sleep together. And yeah, I can see she's kind of shrinking away from me. You see her shrinking away from me? It makes people really uncomfortable when you invade that 18-inch bubble and you don't have a close relationship. It's very uncomfortable.
Unless you're talking about Patrick Swayze and his dance space.
That's a little bit different. So typically we only go to intimate distance with somebody we trust a great deal. So a family member, a best friend, or a lover. Now you can use this for some fun, folks. You ever go to one of those cocktail parties where everyone's standing around holding a drink and chit-chatting, the boring ones? Pick someone in the room you don't know and who you want to hate you, because they will by the time you're done. You go over to introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Julia. I teach in NCC. What do you do? And you're chatting with them. And as you're chatting with them, just kind of casually step closer. Now, sooner or later, or you can see her body language, she's going to step back. So then you wait a moment, then you step in again. And she steps back. And the goal is to get them all the way around the room before they run away from you. It's fun stuff. It takes finesse. And the last topic here is territoriality. Are humans territorial?
Yes.
If you see my ex-husband bark whenever someone parks in front of our driveway, or parked in front of our driveway, you'd know yes, yeah. He'd get all pumped. Parking there, put a sign on his truck. He'd get all worked up. disturbing. What do we do to mark our territory? Fortunately, we're not dogs. That'll get real stinky real fast. How do we mark our territory? If you're at a concert or at the movies and you want to go to the bathroom, what do you do to save your seat?
Put your sweater or something there.
We leave something there, right? We mark our space with an object. We call these territorial markers. You throw your sweater, you leave your book somewhere, you're signaling this is my space. At least for now. I'm so glad we're not dogs.
Me too.
As I mentioned back in the verbal channel, a verbal chapter, paralanguage is another channel. So that's the tone of voice, the vocal cues that go along with our words. The important thing to remember here is that your paralanguage can completely change the meaning of your words. I hate you to I hate you mean very different things, same words.
I can say it and mean it and be real calm.
But that's your own personal use of paralanguage.
Yeah. Yeah, she scares me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Corianne is a real firecracker. Next is chronemics. This comes from the Greek chronos, which means time. So this is about the use of time, or the meanings that we take from time. So, for example, for a job interview, when should you show up? 15 minutes early is our culturally accepted answer. Yeah, 15 minutes early. Any earlier and you're desperate, any later and you're disorganized or lazy, and either way, they don't want to hire you. If the party starts at 8 o'clock, you show up 15 minutes early, right?
No.
No, it's a very different circumstance, right? We wouldn't show up late then.
Fashionably late.
Ew.
Oh,
What is it?
spider coming down.
Are you, please kill it.
No, it's a tiny little.
I knew she wasn't.
It's on its own out in the hall, though. Good luck, little guy. You're gonna need it. So keep in mind that we place meaning on people's use of time. If someone doesn't answer your text fast enough, if someone walks into the classroom late, we place meaning on these things.
Yep. Haptics.
Next is haptics. Haptics refers to touch. Touch. So I'd like to do a little experiment here. You all close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that you're in a completely pitch black room. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And in that room with you are two people, your doctor and your lover.
What if he's
One of them reaches out and touches you. Can you tell which one? Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
answer is no, you need a new doctor or a new lover. The way we touch people, when we touch people, and how we touch them all matters.
But I mean, if it's a pitch black room, you're probably gonna end up hitting him in the face.
Yeah, either way.
So I mean, you're gonna be like,
All I can say is that when my doctor touches me, I'll know because her hands are like ice. Ah! Kind of body temperature do you have, woman?
None, apparently.
An important note about haptics. They're vital. We need to be touched. If you do not touch a baby, it wastes away and will most likely die. We call it failure to thrive.
Mhm.
They actually need a physical need for cuddling and love and touch.
Failure to what?
Failure to thrive.
Thrive. Oh boy.
Next is olfactics.
Oh.
Refers to smell. Do Americans care about smell?
Yes.
That's a hell yes. We've got scented shampoos, body washes, deodorants, colognes and perfumes. We've got scented dishwashing liquid. We've got candles and we've got incense and we've got little devices that spurt smell into the air at regular intervals. We care a lot about smell. I can't go into a candle store. I can't.
I
do it.
can't either. It gives me a headache.
It's way too stinky.
Yeah, me.
So you don't go in the bathroom either.
That's borderline.
I never go to the mall, so it's a moot point.
Yeah.
Do 99% of my shopping online. I can't
Me
stand
too.
people.
Me too. Anxiety, so I do it from
Especially
home.
no time after November will I go anywhere near a mall or a major store. I will not do it. Okay, next is appearance. Now this I'm talking about things about your appearance that you generally can't control. Height, weight, skin color, hair texture, stuff like that. Research has substantiated time and time again that prettier people are treated better. And by prettier, I mean we have a Barbie standard there. Tall, thin, white skin, blonde hair, and the further you are from that ideal, the worse you get treated. I'd like you all to please keep this in mind in your daily life. Remember that the people that you interact with who are not Barbie ideals probably are having kind of a rough day. You might want to be nicer to them. Says the woman who's very far from a Barbie. I'm white, but beyond that. Clothing artifacts then are the things you choose to put on yourself. So personal ornaments, jewelry, hats, tattoos. All of these things are things we choose to put on ourselves. You can place a meaning on these. Think about somebody with a full sleeve tattoo.
Working on it.
May find it hard to get some jobs. People make assumptions, right?
Yep.
People make assumptions. We even use colors to communicate. And colors are really interesting because they actually operate on two different levels. On one side, we've got the psychological effects of colors that are pretty universal. So, for example, you'll find a lot of fast food restaurants will decorate in yellows, reds, and oranges. Does anybody know why?
It catches your attention.
They tend to make you hungry, they capture your attention, and they tend to speed up your heart rate. So you'll go in, you'll eat a lot, and you'll run out. That's what they want. You'll also find that a lot of institutions, like schools and hospitals, will use colors like this. Pale blue, pale green, or white. More calming, soothing colors. Or in my mind, boring.
Mm-hmm.
I seen this picture and it was saying that most social medias use the icon blue because it makes you stay awake longer and stay on it longer.
Yeah, blue is definitely an awake color. As we are learning, your cell phones keep you awake because they've got all that blue light in your eyes late at night.
Yeah.
So those are psychological or physiological responses. Then we've also got a cultural association that varies a lot from culture to culture. For example, if I'm getting married, what color is my dress probably going to be?
White.
White.